Here today with one of my good friends, Gladys, who is a realtor helping you buy, sell, invest, and so much more. And she's got some tips and tricks for you to do just that today. But first, please introduce yourself.
Hey, Heather, how are you? It's a pleasure to be here with you and all of your following and your clients. So thank you for having me. Yes, so my name is Gladys, as you guys already know by now, and I'm originally from Peru. And I'll give you a bit of an overview from me so you guys can get to know me. So I moved to Canada in 2003 when I was 20, and I came to live with my aunt. And because I always had this dream to expand my horizons. And living with my aunt actually gave me the opportunity to get to know and love Toronto. And that's where I live right now in Toronto. But as much as I was so comfortable living with her, I knew that I really wanted to have my own place. And many people probably feels the same way, right? At least I know where I come from. Usually homes are passed from one generation to the next. And that's what happened to my family and what it gave me a sense of where I belong in the world. So my childhood home was my grandparents' home that then became which was inherited by my parents. And now my sisters live there, so I feel like owning your home is owning where you actually belong in the world.
Love that. Owning your space.
Yes, because you can be yourself, right? Your true self, your authentic self. And that's how I actually had the opportunity to buy my first home in 2007, a year after I graduated from college.
Woo-hoo.
And I was able to be the queen of my castle. Even though I had to share my castle with a few tenants because I needed help paying the mortgage. But I was in charge and I was at home, right? But also after going through the nerve-wracking experience of buying my first home, I realized that I wanted to help others achieve what I actually already achieved, home ownership, right? So that's how in 2011, I went into and took my real estate course. I became a real estate agent and I was working part-time originally because I was still working in insurance. But it was only until 2017, so it took me that long to actually fully commit and become a full-time real estate agent. And I have never looked back because I enjoy so much working with clients and helping them buy, invest, sell. So that's kind of my passion. And I do this because the two main reasons why I do this is because as I mentioned before, it's very important for me to own the place where I can be myself, right? Where I belong in the world. But the second reason, which is very important as well, is that real estate allows you to build wealth, right? And allows you to build wealth to whichever level you desire. So you can own your home and you're building wealth. If you only want to buy an investment property, you're still building wealth. And if you want to have everything, you can do it too. And so
I love it. And
that's what I love the most.
When we own a home, it also gives us leverage. I think that's really useful as well. For some people, they're able to leverage off their homes for their businesses or their next investment home. And it really gives you something, a good asset, which allows you access to even more money, I find.
Yes. And that's what I tell my clients. And when I work with clients in general, if they are first-time home buyers, I said, I have to prepare them because I said, this is the hardest part that you have to do because you are the one who has to come up with your down payment and with all the qualifying factors. But once you have this first home, it's going to propel you to do whatever you want because homes appreciate with time and you can use that appreciation to leverage, as you said, into opening your own business or buying more homes or helping your kids go to school. So it gives you different options, right?
Absolutely. And having that availability to say, oh, by the way, I want to send the child to this school, which costs this much more, and I have a home and asset to leverage it. it just opens up possibilities. So I think for a lot of people, we get stuck on the complications of it. And that's what you're going to be here to help us simplify today, so that everyone can step into that ownership and start to build assets and build wealth. And as you say, have your own place in the world. So what are the tips that you wanted to share with us today to help this be simpler and help people get into the market and scale in the market?
Of course. So, like, I think that for everyone who's looking to start in real estate, it's very important that you do a self-assessment of your three main pillars, right? These three main pillars are going to be the cornerstone of you buying a home. If you don't have these three items in line, or three main pillars, then it will be really hard to move forward. And so then the first pillar will be your income. Obviously, like, we need to apply for a mortgage, the mortgage company won't be able to give us a loan unless we actually can prove that we're earning money enough to cover this expense. So income will be a great point. That's number one pillar. The second pillar will be your down payment. So in order to buy a home, we need to have certain collateral, because the bank is only going to give us enough money, the difference. So let's say when you buy a home, if you're a first-time home buyer, potentially you can buy with a minimum 5% down payment, right? Up to, for a property of up to 500, but then the bank will have to lend you the 95%. So you always will need this down payment and the closing cost, which is very important. Sometimes I talk to clients and they're like, okay, I have the money for the down payment, I'm ready. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute, we still have money. We need money to pay your land transfer tax, your lawyer's fees, and any small expenses. So these are things that we need to take in consideration, right? And the third pillar will be your credit report. So everybody that is listening to this should check, either if you have online banking, sometimes, like for example, CIBC will show you what's your credit report, but lenders will always check your Equifax credit report. So if you want to see where you are, and it's great that you pull this credit report, you can do it once a year for free through Equifax and see where you are. Because usually in order to buy a home, you will need at least 680 points on the score of Equifax. Obviously, the higher the better, because if you have a higher credit score, it means that you actually pay on time and that you're a reliable person and that you have been making smart financial decisions, because your credit report, it's a picture in time of your previous financial decisions, and that's how they base if you are qualified to get a mortgage.
And I think it's really important for people to keep credit monitoring so that you can see, because a lot of people we're just not taught really, like, how do you monitor your credit? What's the best time to use the credit card and pay the credit card so that it's adding value? All these little things that we're not taught to really help us own that credit report. And what would you recommend for people for a down payment, including all the expenses that go along with it? So the land transfer tax, the accountant, the lawyers, and all the things that go along with it. So if, let's say 5% is the minimum, how much more would you say?
Well, it usually depends, but could be anywhere from 1 to 3% additional for closing costs. It also will depend where the property is, because, for example, if you buy a property in Toronto, you have to pay the land transfer tax, which is the municipal tax, and the provincial tax. But if you are buying outside of Toronto, you don't have to pay the municipal tax. So you're saving on that as well. But that's why I always have offer my clients a 1 hour free assessment, right? So we can book it and we can go through all these numbers and see how they can work out on their favor. And if there's anything that they need to work towards, strengthening. So maybe strengthening their credit, or improving their credit report, or maybe actually increasing a bit more the savings. So usually we have these calls, so we can strategy calls, right? So we can create a strategy for them.
And what do you say for your income? Your income needs maybe a certain percentage of the cost of the house, give or take. Like, should it be 40%? So if the house is $1 million and your revenue is 100,000, is that available to you? Do you have a percentage that you usually recommend people to be at so they can know what in the range is the right house for them to buy, even like a smart financial decision?
Well, in reality, it's a bit hard to give just like the numbers just like that, because as I like usually how much income you will require will depend also of how much down payment you have. So if you have a higher income, you can qualify with the lower down payment, right? But if you have a lower income, then you will need more down payment, and also depending of what you're looking to buy. Usually, we've been seeing that the mortgage amount will be divided by 3 or 4, between 3 and 4. So let's say if you want to buy $1 million home, for example, and you always, for homes over $1 million, you will need at least $200,000 down payment, because you need 20% down payment for any properties of over $1 million. So then the mortgage amount will be $800,000, and usually that amount, depending of the down, the record that you have, you can divide it between, I would say, 3.5 at this point in time, and that's how much income you will be required.
Love it. Guys, so many good tips here. So that's absolutely amazing. And you said you offer a free call. So if somebody wanted to go through this and figure out all their numbers for themselves, are they in a good place? Is it a good time for them to buy? Is it smart for them to buy? And do they have some things that they want to maybe get together so that they could access a lower interest rate or what have you? How can they reach out to you to get that free strategy call on their books?
Of course. So they can give you a call if you want. I'm always accessible by phone. So my phone number is 647-860-5791. But you can also contact me through social media. I have Instagram, which is, I'm going to give it to you so you can post it also, but it's Gladys_your_realtor. Or I also have like Facebook and my website, which is GladysLapeyre.com.
Awesome. We want to spell it out for everybody. What was that website?
Yes, Gladys. So my first name, GLAD as in Donald, YS as in Sam. And then my last name, Lapeyre, which is LAP as in Peter, EYRE.com.
Awesome. So you guys want to go to Gladys Lapeyre today and make sure that you book that free strategy call with yourself so that you are not only getting yourself more assets, you're building wealth, but you're doing it smart and perhaps setting yourself up for success to really create some financial freedom for yourself and create your own special place in this world. So was there anything else you wanted to leave anybody with today? Some tips and tricks, last piece of advice?
Yes, no, so please book the call, and I'm going to help you work out the numbers. I'm going to help you work through the fear. I know if this is your first time, probably you are afraid of what's going to happen, the market, the property. Am I going to be able to make it happen? But I will be there for you with honesty and also with courage, because I will give you the courage that you don't have right now in order so you can make the smart decision. And obviously, always with honest information, so you know what kind of decision you're making.
Love it. So you can make an educated decision and buy yourself a home for you and your family, knowing that it didn't put you in an uncomfortable financial place, but it's actually going to help you build wealth. So I love that.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. And guys, make sure you book your free strategy call with Gladys today so that you can truly build your wealth and own your own perfect new home. So remember, stay happy, healthy, wealthy, and what is the best that can happen? Thank you so much, Gladys.
Thanks. Thank you, Heather, for having me. Have a great afternoon.
My pleasure. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Bye.